What is up, Internet? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. Today, the figure we're taking a look at is the Magic Square Light of Peace. And this is their take on a Masterpiece scale Optimus Prime. Now, just as they released the Masterpiece scale Optimus Prime, then they released the Legends one, they're doing the same thing with this one, where this is basically the same figure as their little guy that they came out recently. I've got the black version of it here, just Masterpiece size instead of Legend size. So the bigger size gives them, the ability to put in better articulation in some points, better features in some points, better engineering in some points. And let's take a look at how that worked out. Full disclosure and a little bit of a spoiler, I will tell you that when I ordered this figure, I ordered it direct from Magic Square. I pulled out the box. I pulled out the box for my Transform Element Optimus Prime because I'm like, I really like the way this thing looks. I'm going to pull out my Transform Element Prime, and I'm going to sell that, and I'm going to keep this, and this is going to be my Optimus of Optimuses from here on out. And long story short, I did not box up my Transform Element Optimus. I still like it a whole lot, and in some ways I like it better than this one. In fact, let's do a quick comparison. There is the Transform Element Optimus Prime. You can see that aesthetically, they do have a similar thing. I do really like the sculpt of this. I really enjoy how just animation accurate this one is. But at the same time, there is a lot of... It's almost like the lines on this guy are a little too straight. Whereas this one, they've got... angles that are built into it and curves that are built into it and tapers that are built into it to make it more with that like hand-drawn look to it. And I really do like the sculpt on the Magic Square one. I feel like the Transform Element one is higher quality, and I'll get deeper into that in a moment. By the way, while I'm here, I'm also going to compare it with the original Magic Square Optimus Prime. And one of the things that I often said about the original Magic Square Optimus Prime is that this is basically, if you took the MP10 and gave it, a more cartoony look. And that's really what this is. The engineering is extremely similar to the MP10. It does, it's better engineered, especially in the legs. But it's got a lot of the aesthetics, and it's got a lot of the proportions of the MP10, and I don't think that the proportions are as good as this one. Though I do like the fit and finish of this one. I'm not sure if this is painted or not. This is actually on loan to me. I'm borrowing this one here. I believe that's painted. I'm just seeing if, especially the metallic flake transfers over to the inside of it, and it kind of looks like it does. I don't know, maybe it's just really classy plastic on that. But I will say that the plastic on this Magic Square version 2 is not super classy. It is very lightweight, which I don't necessarily mind. It's just, I picked up this black Optimus specifically because I didn't want the I didn't want to go for the kind of waxy, semi-translucent look of the Magic Square plastic for the one I wanted to get. The black plastic has got less of the subsurface scattering. Then like the legs and whatnot are painted. And I really felt that the paint and the black would alleviate that, and it did. I'm super happy with this purchase. This one has still got that like kind of, it almost looks kind of waxy. Just there's a slight translucency to the plastic that Magic Square likes to use, and it's evident here. It's not going to show up on camera, mind you, because cameras, but it is, you know, it's not the best look for it. I will say that this figure is very good in robot mode, and I'm not super happy with it in alt mode. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's talk about accessories. So he comes with just the barest accessories. He comes with his gun, which is all in black plastic. No paint apps whatsoever, which is a little bit of a bummer, but that's kind of how it was in the cartoon, with no, color accents on it. No electronics or anything like that, which is fine. He has a little tab here on the handle that plugs into a little slot on the hand. Just curl his hands around that, plug that in. And he holds it just great, as he should, as he would. The other accessory comes with is his Energon axe, which it's very clear. It's very, very transparent, which I don't think is the best look for the axe. I think some paint apps or whatnot would have been really, really good on that. To get that into his hand, you want to take his hand and curl it into a fist, kind of put it into the ye old transformation position. And then you take this guy here and slide it in from the one side. And then this one here and sandwich it on from the top. And again, I mean, it looks fine. It's just because it's so transparent, you can see his hand right there. Like, I recognize fully that the MP10 had an axe that was very similar to this, where you just kind of like chunk it onto his fist. But it was molded in a translucent plastic, rubberized actually, but translucent plastic, and you couldn't really see his hand unless you looked at it from the underside. Whereas this one, it doesn't matter what angle you look at it from, you can see his hand, and I gotta be honest with you, I don't like that. This is not a good execution of this accessory, I feel. Also, while I agree that the Energon axe is kind of a cool thing to have, it just always seemed kind of unnecessary to me, because he only used it once in the entire Generation 1, at least in terms of animation. He only used it once, but it's become characteristic, I guess. The other accessories he has are trailer hitches for alt mode, and I'll talk about those when I get into the alt mode. Let's talk about posability. Posability, I feel, is where this figure really shines, and I mean like really shines. It's got phenomenal posability. So his head is on a ball joint. It will look down, it will look up a lot. It'll go side to side, rotate just well, of course. He has a joint in here, right in here in the shoulder, and that'll go up and down on a soft ratchet. Unfortunately, I feel it's a little bit too soft. Let's see if I can get in on that. There was a guy who was talking on the Facebook about how, he pulled this out, and just within like a day, it had like rolled over all the crests on these little ratchety bits. And I'd like to say that he's probably not correct at all. Because this was one of the things I looked at straight out of the box, and This is exactly how it looked out of the box. Like they were rolled over before I even touched the figure. And I'm sure that somebody, you know, in the factory put it in and assembled it together and then like cranked it to, I don't know, make sure it works or something like that, as if he hadn't made like a million of them already. And that cranking it, you know, rolled over those crests. And this is especially a part where Magic Square could really have done with a better plastic, because they insist on using this vinyl type of plastic, which does really good things for them in the type of engineering they use. However, it is not a rigid plastic. And it has more, you know, it's more keen to plastic deformation than elastic deformation. And it's just, it's not the best use of plastic. And I have, this is nothing new here. I have talked about this for Magic Square for many years, that, you know, I like their engineering, I like their sculpts, I just don't like the type of material they use. And this is an example where that comes to bite them. He also has a joint here in the shoulder itself to move out quite a bit. That's all the shoulder thing there. So you could, you know, go a little easier on that and combine it with that and just, you know, have him stab himself in the face with a smokestack. But it's a lot of posability, and it's posability in multiple joints and axes, which is all good. I can totally get behind that. His arm will go all the way around on a swivel. Actually, it feels like it might. No, it didn't. Phew. I came back here and felt resistance and suddenly had flashbacks to that one time that I snapped off the arm of a, you know, very expensive Fans Toys figure. Bicep swivel here. He does have a double jointed elbow. What's interesting about this joint in particular is that this is actually a transformation joint. This is the same joint that we see on the Legend Scale one that goes out sideways. This is a transformation joint. The Legend Scale one only has a single bend at the elbow, which is this one right here. It's a single bend to almost the same degree as, well, a little bit more than the Legends one, but they have thrown in this this elbow swivel here so that you can take advantage of this transformation joint as a posability joint, which is kind of fun. So with that together, you get, you know, basically the full bend, which is fantastic. Wrist is on a swivel, and you've got a hinge that just goes outwards. It does not go inwards at all, which is slightly a missed opportunity in that, I mean, having the hand go out gives you some good expression possibilities when it comes to posing the hands, but like, I feel like you get more out of the inward curl than the outward curl specifically. And it would have been nice if it went both ways, at least a little bit. Thumb has got a ball joint here and a hinge here. Each finger has got a ball. No. Yeah, that is a ball joint, isn't it? Yeah. A ball joint and a hinge in the middle. Again, it's not bad, but like, I believe I made this comment when the version 1 came out, that I thought it was a bummer that all the fingers were the same length, because, I mean, do you know anybody who all their fingers are the same length? I would guess not. And it would look more, you know, just natural, I think. And I know that natural isn't necessarily the right nomenclature to use, you know, in canon with a robotic Cybertronian life form. But like, I feel like alternating finger sizes would have looked really good. And in figures where they do have alternating finger sizes, I think it does look really good. So he's got a waist swivel And he's got this hinge structure here, so you can bend him all the way forward if you don't mind breaking the sculpt all to hell, and you can bend it super back if you don't mind breaking the sculpt all to hell. Generally, if you're going to bend it forward, like, depending on how you've got them angled, like, the angle will protect the sculpt, so you can get some really good use out of that joint. It's a good execution of that joint. I'm not even going to complain about that. For the legs, you've got skirt armors on the side and on the back and on the front. Now the front is kind of keyed in with the posability of the hip. So you move the hip forward and that moves with it. When you move the hip back, it'll, try and move it back, but not really. You gotta come in there and do it by hand. Again, as with the Legend Scale 1, I do recommend getting the skirt armors out of the way, moving your figure however you want it, and then putting the skirt armors back in. So when you are putting it back down, you can very easily just tuck your finger in there and get it to go back in. Should they have put in a spring or something to automatically push this down like they did with the MP44? Yeah, I think that would have been easy to do. But they didn't do it, and I'm not sure exactly why. Probably because of costs. I just noticed that there's a pin there, and I was trying to decide if that was a hinge, but it's not. But yeah, so the leg will move all the way that far forward, will move that far back, and go out for, well, at least like 112% of the Van Damme. Tiny little bit of ratcheting on that too. Probably again with that really soft plastic. Thigh swivel, double joint on the knee. You got one side that's clicky like that, and then the other side that's clicky like that. Makes for a little bit of an interesting experience moving that leg. But yeah, looks good there. The ankle is kind of interesting in that you've got it on a ball joint, so you can rotate here a lot. You can move it up and down a little bit. You can move it side to side a little bit. If we were to actually crack this open and take a closer look at that joint, you'll see there is a ball joint and a hinge. And then you'll also see there's a ratchet joint right here. And I'm not sure what that ratchet joint is for, because at no point in posing this figure and transforming it have I ever needed that ratchet joint. You can go in and manually move it, and this is actually one of the tighter joints on the entire figure. But like, if you move it forward, then you can't get the toe into the proper position to look good. And if you move it back, then you can't, you have to move all of these armor panels out of the way to get it to move back. So like, I don't know what it's supposed to do, because it does not help the posability one shred. So it's this weird superfluous ratchet joint. You've got a hinge on the back of the foot, and then you've got this double hinge on the toe. And this is the same sort of thing. I believe I made a comment about this on this guy, that having that double joint in the toe, and it's a little bit more obnoxious with this guy, to be honest. It's instead of moving at the toe, sometimes you'll move at this like upper toe joint, and it throws it all out of whack. And it's similar here, where you've got these two toe joints, and in fact one of them is tied in closely to this little toe armor here, which then makes it more difficult to get everything straight. There are a lot of joints in here, which makes it a little bit fiddly. That's what I'm getting at. But all in all, this all combines to make just an extremely posable Optimus Prime. He is extremely posable. When I was doing what's that even? when I was doing my 5-way comparison of all the Masterpiece Primes that were out, and this was a couple of years ago, I was saying that Transform Element was my favorite, and it is. And upon getting the Magic Square version 1 in my hands again, I will still say that Transform Element is still my favorite. But the thing where Transform Element fell flat is that it doesn't have as much posability, most notably in the hips, because there's no thigh rotation. There's a knee rotation. But I can't tell you how many times I have wished that it had thigh rotation, like a proper thigh rotation, to get some of the, because this doesn't change the, like, having a rotation at the knee doesn't really change how, I don't know, I don't like the way it poses as much. It's very good for a lot of, standing straight poses, and it's very good for even some mild action poses. But I dropped all my tools. But it doesn't have the kind of posability that the Magic Square version 1 had. That was pretty much the only point that this one had on there. This one blows them all away. It is just obscenely posable. You can easily, like, go down on one knee. You throw in some waist joint, and I forgot to even mention, you've got this, the arm comes out for, like, an extreme butterfly joint. You can do the, like, where he's got his hands together to do the, like, which, by the way, if you hit somebody, never interlock your hands together like that. You should do it like this if you're doing the, like, double fist punch thing. But he can, put his hands together, like I could just do it right now. When he's gonna go and, double punch Megatron, the just amount of posability and the fluidity of the posability, and it just looks natural and it feels great. And this is a fantastic Optimus Prime figure. I really love it. I'm not ready to replace my Transform Element with it. And let's get into the transformation a little bit, and I'll show you exactly why. So to get this guy transformed, oh, by the way, some of the other nitpicks I've heard, before I go on, some of the other nitpicks I've heard about this figure is, I've heard some people complain about how they don't like how this panel is slightly wider. And honestly, I think that is so ignorable. I mean, yes, it is there. Yes, it does slightly stick up over the shoulders and under the sides here. But it's such a mild thing. The backpack looks really good. Like, this is definitely the most show accurate backpack. I wrote about how sleek the profile of Transform Element was, but, like, it really only makes, like, a passing glance at the show accuracy, and this looks like it just came straight off the cartoon. It's really well done. And I think that's really what I want to stress about this figure, is that there's so much on this figure that is extremely well done. I feel that they could have used better material. Maybe more consistent hardware in the ratchet joints. Maybe better material for the ratchet joints. There are improvements that they could have made. As I say, it's not a perfect figure, as I say, specifically. But let's get into the transformation here. Oh, one last accessory I wanted to talk about. He does have, his chest opens up, and he does have a nicely detailed, like, matrix chamber in there. And this opens up, and there is a matrix in there. It's a bit of a bummer because it's all molded in, well, not molded, but, like, come on out of there. I've got a spudger for this. First of all, it doesn't come out very easily. It does come out, but as you'll see in a bit, I don't think it's meant to come out because first of all, you'll see it's not painted at all. There's no like gold section in the middle. But also, you look at the back of this, and it's like completely unfinished. Like these little circling details you see here, that's the ejection pins from the mold. When you do injection molding on something, you'll cast your part. The mold will come together, inject the plastic, pull apart, and then there will be little ejection pins that poke out, and they'll kick out the material from the mold. And there they are. It's just, and of course you'll find these all over on plastic parts, but mostly on the parts that are hidden that you don't see because they are kind of unsightly. There's no grooves on here. There's no detail. It's just completely unfinished on the back. It's also not die cast or anything like that. While there wasn't a great deal of die cast on the Magic Square version 1, it did at least have die cast in the Matrix. And I'm not saying that it's a requirement that it needs to be die cast. It's just, you know, when you so many figures have got a die cast Matrix because it's such an easy part to make out of die cast, and it feels good to do that. But anyhow, to get this guy transformed up, first thing you want to do is I like to open up the chest and yank out the back and pull up on this. And then, I am going to start with the arms. So you want to rotate the bicep 90 degrees in, and then untab this guy here. There's actually a little doohickey right there that you can pull out. So kind of pull this out, fold the hand in, and then you are going to want to bend this on that transformation joint that I mentioned, and then rotate that in. And then there's a little panel right here, and we'll get a different angle on this whole thing from the other side when I do the other arm. Come on, little panel. There you go. And that just folds flat. And so let's do that again from the other side. So you'll straighten the arm all the way out, rotate the bicep 90 degrees in, and then basically you're going to continue the forearm another 90 degrees. Open up this panel here, pull out this little panel here, fold up the fist into the transformation fist, flip that guy in, and then you're going to raise it up here just so that you've got some space to work with. Fold it on that transformation joint and fold that in flush. And that's his arms all done and good to go. Easy peasy. You want to take this grill and pull this straight out, and then when you've got a little bit of space on it, you can take and tuck this in, and then rotate this around. That'll give you space to work in here. Pull this panel. Is it ready for that? It doesn't seem to be ready for that yet. Well, we'll get to that. On the back here, let's see if I can raise up my camera a little bit. On the back here, you want to take these, pull them out to the side, and then you can, I'm not going to pull those doors out yet. Bring this out to the side. Actually, let's bring this whole thing out to the side. And to do that, you want to push down on this and then pull out like so. So push down and pull out. And by the way, so pretty much all of this figure is molded in color. So the red is red plastic, the blue is blue plastic, the gray is gray plastic, this gray is gray plastic, the white is white plastic. The only paint apps that you really have are here on his dick plate, a little bit of paint apps here, paint apps on the eyes and the crest of his head, and there's like a little bit of red around here. But most of it is molded in color, which is good for not having scratched paint. But like on the other hand, I feel like this figure would have been really, like, some good hardware ratchets and some paint on this will make this figure like easily better than it is now. Just throwing it out there. So we'll take these and rotate them around and pull out this panel here and this panel here. So rotate this around. Oh, come on. And then pull out the panel and the panel. And then you can take his head and you want to bend his head all the way back and then bend this panel all the way back and tuck his head in right there, and then take this panel here and tuck that in forwards. Actually, let's real quickly flip these around and then fold that in. And yeah, we're really starting to get somewhere now. You also want to take this panel out here and flip that around and fold. You want to take these guys and fold them just straight in. And you also want to fold this panel in. So now we have disassembled the whole torso, transformed all the parts, and now we're going to put it all back together. You do want to take this part here. Maybe I should have done that first. Flip that around so that's facing this way. Kind of swing these into place. Note that you do want to keep this out. You'll see that this grill is on this big long stick. You want to keep that out as far as it'll go. And then you just kind of want to fold this up and fold this up. And then you want to pull this around so that this section here is going to come down in between the windows. This is a step that you kind of need to do a little bit, earlier in the process versus later in the process, because it's got a tab right here that tabs onto the back side of the grill. So if you put the grill in first, you're going to have yourself a little bit of a frustrating time trying to get it all plugged together properly. Which is not to say that I'm not having a little bit of a frustrating time now. Let's actually put the hands in next then. We're just going to push that in and wiggle everything into place. There is a little tab here that'll fit into a little slot there. And that's mostly to line it up more so than to keep it together. And we'll do the same with the other side. Bring this around. And shove it into that space. Alright, now we'll give this a shot. Bring this up and around and over. And then tuck the windows into this central strut. And if there's a way of making sure that this gets super well lined up, I haven't found it yet. You do want to take and fold this panel down here. You've got this on like a little double hinge, and it was bending on this side of it before. Now it's going to be bending on this side, so that these tabs will fit into slots that were on the back of the shoulders. And now we want to push in the grill that will plug into tabs here on the bumper. There are tabs back in these sections here, and then there's that main tab right on that central strut of the windows. Oh, and there he is. Now he is Magic Square Truck Man. Now, for the legs, you want to take this panel here, flip it around so that his butt skirts are facing the other way. For the leg, you want to flip up this halfway or all the way. All the way is fine. Open up this panel here, open up this littler panel here, and then bring this out and fold in that panel first, and then this tab is going to plug into that slot there. Now you can take his foot, fold it in like so. Let me get this. There's another foot, right? Rotate that around and then fold this back on itself, and then you want to take the toe. The toe is going to fold all the way down, and then this little armor panel is going to fold down like so. You're going to swing this out part way. This is going to come out, and there's a slider extender. Fold out this, and then just kind of swing it around to get it to be ready to go into place. But I'm not going to actually put it into place yet. We're going to do the same with the other leg. So, swing this around, pop out this panel, and then this panel. Bring it up, fold in that, click. Do the foot thing. That exposes the little lights. That's a nice little touch. Swing out the leg part way. Bring this out. Bring that out. Swing this around. Collapse this leg part all the rest of the way. And then you want to take these little grooves right here are going to fit into these sections right here. And I just noticed a little bit of stress on that. I can't tell if that shows up on camera or not. Plug this into there. These big tanks are going to go over the small leg tanks. You want to take this panel, you want to take this strut here and pull this out as far as it'll go. And that will align these up better. Come on, click that onto that tab. There we go. And on the other side. There we go. And then you want to take these little tabs and plug them together. And then these panels are going to come back, and you've got tabs right here that were on the back of the knees, and you've got slots right here that were on the back of the calves. Plug those into there. And there you have him in his truck mode. And, you know, all in all, I think it's a pretty decent looking truck mode. When it came to the Legends debate, this was actually a big point of the debate for me, because I felt that this truck mode was better looking than the Legends scale, or the New Age truck mode. But that was a Legends discussion. It's all right. What I dislike most about this is that there's just, I've never felt like these get into just the right place. You squish this, like, there's a lot of squish here. And there's a lot of squish here. And there's like this tab right here and this slot. And you'd think that they're supposed to line up. And they do line up, but they don't like lock into each other. And I'm not sure if they're really supposed to, if that's really supposed to like hold it together. If it did, that'd be great. Because there's basically zero clearance on the bottom of this truck mode. That's if everything is what I feel is properly aligned. But as you handle it, even as simple as just like picking it up, everything wants to pop out of alignment and nothing wants to stay, you know, because you can put that tab into that slot. But like, then what do you do with this? There's a tab here and there's a slot, but there's no way those go together. Just no way. So you're like, you can never get this to be what I feel would be flush. And it's just, it's a little bit frustrating. And like, you know, these panels kind of stick out a little bit. And this panel here kind of sticks out a little bit. And there's just a bunch of stuff on it that I'm just like, hey, it's great. It's good, but it's not great. You know? I don't even know why those aren't cooperating with me. Those are just simple hinges. They should just be able to tuck in a little bit, but there they are, sticking out. And part of that comes from, I'm sure that I've got it like over squeezed somewhere, maybe. I don't know. I have frustrations with the alt mode. Whereas the alt mode of the transform element is just, it's rock solid. Like, this one just kind of feels like mushy, you know? Whereas this is just rock solid. And that's one of the things that I really, really love about the transform element. And ultimately, the biggest reason why I will not be selling this is because this one has a very good robot mode. But I don't feel like the material and the transformation is that good of, it doesn't feel high class to me. By the way, you can also flip these out, but good luck keeping them out. They are very loose. I say that as it won't come out. Why are you being so obstinate today? Also, the smokestacks extend, but this one doesn't like to stay extended. And if I pull it out and then twist it, it'll stay fairly well. It's not meant to twist. It's just, that's the solution that I found for it. So, yeah, in terms of cartoon accuracy, I think that they're both pretty good. In terms of posability, this one's far better. In terms of aesthetics, I still believe that you cannot beat the cleanliness of this truck mode. Like, they even do a halfway decent job of making the back of the truck look like the back of a truck. You know? And just, I'm not really happy with this alt mode pretty much at all. But this does bring out the last two accessories, which are these trailer hitch pieces here. You'll just take one. You've got these two slots here and respective tabs on there. And you plug that in. It'll only go in one way. I actually haven't plugged any of them in yet because I don't have any trailers. But that's a trailer for the MP10 style trailer, and that is a hitch for the MP44 style trailer. So you can do whichever one suits your fancy. Push this all back into place again because, you know, it kind of wants to pull in a little bit and then like bow out. Again, another thing that I really just don't like about this alt mode. So yes, love the robot mode. I am really ambivalent and in fact kind of distasteful of the alt mode. It does feel light. It's not the biggest issue for me. It does feel kind of cheap. That is kind of an issue for me. If they come out with a premium finish one with better ratchets as well, then I would say that that's absolutely the way to go. But as it currently stands, I don't know that I could recommend this over the I don't know if I could recommend this over the Transform Element. But that's just my personal subjective opinion on this. Or as Daniel Jackson would say, anyway, that's just how I feel about it. What do you think? But anyhow, everybody, thanks for watching. You guys are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya. Bye.